Yes, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Checkered Flag Show. My usual guest, DNF1, is obviously busy this week, so it will just be me with it this week. But I will also be opening the lines open and keeping the lines open. So if you do want to come on and have your say on any of the topics we are covering, make sure to go and hit that like button first and hit the subscribe button and then hit the link and then come on and have your say by all means. There we go. It's literally in there now. Literally in there now. So go and do that right now. Right. Whilst yeah. So right. So topics today, obviously, on the title we've got our main debate topic about Ferrari, which is why if there's any Ferrari fans out there, please come on and have your say about the team. There's also the Japanese Grand Prix. There's a new 3-year deal at the Japanese Grand Prix. Plus, sprint racing qualifying has been approved. It will go ahead for 3 Grand Prix. So we are going to bring you the latest news on that. But I'm going to bring up the quick news first, which is the new deal surrounding the Japanese Grand Prix. Japanese. Right, so I'm just going to bring that up. Share screen. Right. So, if this thing wants to load, that is. Right. So, yes, Formula One will continue to stage the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka until the end of the 2024 season after securing a new 3-year contract. Suzuka has held the Japanese Grand Prix in all but 2 years since its first stage, since 1987. But its existing contract was due to expire after the 2021 race scheduled for October the 10th. And an announcement made on Saturday morning, F1 revealed that it had agreed a 3-year extension to the existing Japanese Grand Prix with the race promoter Mobility Land. I am delighted that Formula One will continue to race at Suzuka circuit for another 3 years, said the F1 CEO and president Stefano Domenicali, obviously a former team principal of Ferrari. Japan holds a very special place in our hearts and minds of F1 fans from all over the world, and Suzuka has played host to the sport's most legendary moments, with 11 drivers' titles decided there. The Japanese Grand Prix has always showcased a gripping, edge-of-your-seat drama, and I'm thrilled we can continue to bring the action and excitement that is Formula One to the passionate motorsport fans of Japan. So it'd be great to see, obviously, with Yuki Tsunoda in the team at AlphaTauri. He's probably looking forward to the Grand Prix on October the 10th. But if he's good enough, he'll stay and he'll be able to do those extra 3 years on that contract. But obviously, that is great news to hear from all over fans, including myself. There's been usually 2 circuits that have been in Japan. There's been Fuji Speedway and there's been Suzuka. Suzuka has usually been the one they've usually gone for. But Suzuka is unique because it's the only figure of 8 circuit on the calendar. So the only time they actually go around like in a figure of 8, so they'll cross each other at the down the back straight of towards the 130R. You go is on the way back and above. That's where the bridge is, and it's they cross over where on that back straight and where they've gone from turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, turn 9 as you the second Degner they called it. And as you go past second Degner, you got under the bridge where track crosses over. So it's a unique circuit in that sense, and it's been a major part of Formula One. As it said, 11 drivers' titles there. Ferrari's title decided with Schumacher in 2001, decided in 2003, 2011 even, this was recently with Sebastian Vettel in 2011. So, yeah, it's obviously a great race to race at. It's a real driver's circuit. The drivers love it. The fans love it. The Japanese fans are some of the most enthusiastic fans you'll ever find in the sport. They are mad. They are mad about Formula One. And hey, you can't knock them for they're one of they're the sort of fans that don't care if it's raining, snowing, hail, whatever weather there is. They'll sit in front of in front of the garages for the start of qualifying every single race, right? So it's absolutely brilliant to have the Suzuka circuit on the calendar for another 3 years. So So obviously we've had the news, which I explained in the preview about the free practice 1 and free practice 2. Why are we doing that all the time? Right. Right. Just gonna quickly have a look. Oh, there's another thing as well. Yes, I'll bring that up as well. Because I just had another quick news about Grand Prix circuits as well. It's to do with the Canadian Grand Prix, which we know is now be cancelled. So, yeah. I'm gonna quickly share that again. So, keep grinding, mate. You're such a star, and your hard work is paying off. Yeah, mate. I mean, I know some people probably after this want to take a break. I might want to take a break, but me, I can't cope without the channel, so I gotta keep going. Right. I'll just say this: someday the truth will come out, and when it does, a lot of people will be shocked. Tell you that, mate. Like, when the truth will come out, we will be clear. Don't you worry about that. Because the truth all comes out eventually. But back to the Grand Prix. Turkey to replace Canada on the 2021 F1 race calendar. Obviously, we had the enthralling race that obviously where Hamilton claimed his 7th world title in Turkey last year, with obviously 3 races to spare. Formula One has confirmed though that obviously the Canadian Grand Prix was cancelled, so it left a gap open, and they've filled it with the Turkish Grand Prix. So there's still 23 races on the calendar, but the Canadian Grand Prix will be replacing the Turkish Grand Prix for the weekend of June 11th to June 13th. Due to the ongoing international travel restrictions in place in Canada, it became impossible for Formula One to enter the country without a mandatory 14-day quarantine, leading to the change. We are grateful for the efforts of the promoter and the authorities in Canada, Quebec, and Montreal in the past few weeks to try and make the race happen. and we are pleased to announce a 2-year extension to our partnership with the Canadian Grand Prix. We will work with the promoter to ensure that those with tickets for the 2020 and 2021 races get the options of a refund or to transfer their tickets onto next year's race and look forward to racing in Canada in 2022. Obviously, I know people in Canada, they are absolutely devastated the fact that they've lost the Grand Prix again. The fact that they're stuck in another lockdown and it's tough. Yes, it is extremely tough in being in lockdown, and I feel for them. And like Miss Mel, for example, is suffering into Toronto at the minute, and I send her my best wishes as well, and make sure that her and her family are all okay for it all. So yeah, but we're gonna get to just gonna quickly bring up some more news. Wolf says there's no rules and no confusion over how Russell should race Mercedes drivers in the future. Right. It's just little something about suggesting about Bottas because obviously Russell was tipped to replace Valtteri Bottas at Mercedes. It's caused a bit of media storm, and hey, obviously it's just to dampen things down in a minute, but hopefully things can stay under wraps. But it's just a load of, to be honest, I think it's just a load of media talk, to be honest. I really do. But like I said, in the preview, in FP1 and FP2, the title race looks so close at the minute. It looks so close. So just going to bring up some more news. Right. So the two main topics I want to qualify is sprint qualifying. Right. You're going to need to know this for this season because 3 races are going to do this. 3 races. This includes the British Grand Prix. So please do smash the like button. Do hit the subscribe button. Do hit the share button. Please do that now. Right. Share on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, do it. Do it right now. Please. It all helps towards Children's Liver Disease Foundation, as always. And we keep striving to keep growing this channel further. And we keep trying to bring out the content as much as we can. So, obviously the new sprint Formula One weekend is getting able to shake up at 3 Grand Prix in 2021 with the introduction of the so this will happen at 3 Grand Prix circuits next season. So sprint, right, so this will happen at, I know one of them is the British Grand Prix. It should say it here where it's supposed to be at. No, I'm gonna have to go back. Let me have a look. Hang on a minute. Let me have a look. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I'm trying to find out where it is. Yeah, I know one of them's Britain. Where is it? It's got to be here somewhere. Where the free? Right. It's, why can't they just ask where they are? Right. That really helps, doesn't it? Right. Right. I got it. I got it. I found it. Big up BBC Sport and Andrew Benson. Does a lot of does a lot of reporting on the F1. The British Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix, one other weekend. Brazil. Brazil will be the third one. So Brazil. So we start with so the first one to try it will be the British Grand Prix, which is quite fitting it since it was the first ever championship race to be held at Britain at Silverstone. Here's a tricky question for you: who won the first ever Grand Prix, Formula One Grand Prix, right, in 1950, the British Grand Prix, or the Grand Prix d'Europe as they called it, right? And then tell me who won the championship that season, because it's the same driver. The same driver who won the first race of that season also went to win the championship. And I'd like to know, this is the question for you, and you got to find the answer. Who's the first ever race winner and world champion in 1950? That's a tricky question. You know, but no luck. You'll probably look it up on Google in about 5 seconds flat. Anyway, so right, so the sprint qualifying format in full. So Friday will be a 16-minute first practice session in the morning with 2 sets of tyres for each team to choose freely. Normal qualifying format in the afternoon with 5 soft tyre available sets only. Saturday is a 60-minute second free practice session, right, in the morning with 1 set of tyres for the teams to choose freely. 100-kilometre sprint qualifying in the afternoon with 2 sets of tyres for teams to choose freely. Then obviously that will set the race. So basically, what is qualifying at the minute, qualifying 1, qualifying 2, qualifying 3, will be switched to a Friday, right? That will decide the grid for Saturday's sprint race, right? On Saturday. Then you've got, right, so you've got one practice. We're taking out practice 3, basically. You get 1 session to get the practice you need for qualifying, sprint qualifying, for the normal qualifying. Then you get after that another practice session to prepare for the sprint qualifying Grand Prix, the sprint qualifying race, and then that sets the grid for the Grand Prix. So, I'd like to know your thoughts and feelings towards this. Please do share the stream. Please do share it. Get people involved, right? Look, I'm going to share it right now. And I'm telling you right now. I don't know where everyone's got to, but right now. Sorry, just get. Right, just quickly sharing this. Right, here we go. Right, so yeah, please do share it. Keep watching as well. So this is how sprint qualifying is going to work. So then the sprint qualifying sets the Grand Prix over itself. So that is something to look out for the British Grand Prix, right? Which will be, if we look at the schedule, the full schedule. So the ones you've got to look out for is obviously we've got Portugal in a minute. Then it will be Azerbaijan, Turkey now, not Canada, France, Austria, round 10. British Grand Prix will be the first British Grand Prix to hold a sprint F1 sprint qualifying race. Then, like it was the first circuit to host a Formula One Grand Prix in 1950. Then we've got obviously Hungary, Belgium, Netherlands, which is I want to go to that. I want to get that. I want to see that. That looks lit. I like that circuit a lot. So I want to see that. And then you've got Monza. Monza will be the next one at the Italian Grand Prix. Then lastly, it will be the Brazilian Grand Prix, which will have still 3 rounds to go after that, because Australia has been put back to round 21 because of the current COVID crisis over there. So, yeah, what do you feel? I'm a traditionalist. I want to keep it as it is. I like to keep it as it is. I've always known Formula One to be practice 1, practice 2, practice 3, right? Or a practice session, a qualifying session, and then a race. I've never sort of looked towards having a sprint race or reverse grids or something like that. Do you feel they should have done reverse grids on these sprint qualifying races, so that decides the reverse grid for the next race? Are you one me like me, don't want to change it at all, want to keep it as it is, or you are someone that's accepting to change, right? Because this is what we're looking at here. We're trying to try out new things as a way to change and make the sport better, to make the sport look more competitive. For me, it's just as good as it is now, then it might be with it. But for some people, that's not the case, right? But then we've got new rules in 2022. How are they going to play out, right? How, right? We've got cars that are going to be not that far away from each other, so there is chances to overtake. So the races are going to be more competitive. So do we need it? Do we need it or do we don't? It's up to you. It's how you as a fan feels. Unlike the FA, for example, or UEFA, right? The FIA actually matter and care about the fans, right? They'll listen to the fans, and if the fans don't like it, they won't do it. Right? The fans do like it, then they will. This is why when they started saying it was getting boring, it was getting easy because the cars were getting so slow. It was even the drivers said, "Look, this is getting too easy now." By 2016, they were saying it's getting too easy because it was too small. The cars look like like F2 cars of today. Even the F2 cars of today look bigger than these what they were. So of course, it would be great. It would be great to um, see what would this be like in 2022. But for me, I'm a traditionalist. For me, I'm that person who not really keen on change. But hey, we don't know until the lights go out and sprint qualifying to see what it's like. And sometimes you might just have to bite the bullet and try these things. And you never know, it might grow on you. But Right. So my main topic I wanted to talk about was Ferrari. Right. Obviously, last season was one of the worst seasons ever in Formula One. Right. Didn't win a Grand Prix. Was on the podium, I think, about 3 times. It was a dreadful season. By their standards, it's an appalling season. We're talking about a team that's been there since 1950, since the start. It might not have been in the first race because they couldn't get clearance by the BRDC, the British Racing Drivers Club, at the time in 1950 to be able to compete in that Grand Prix. But they've been there since the start. They hold the heritage of F1. It's probably why they've held a stranglehold about the money they get from the F1, from the FIA. They used to get a payout just for being in the sport. They're not getting that anymore. But they've had to sort of just now agree to make it more competitive. But they have slumped massively over the last two years. And it's like what David Croft said in that fundraiser stream interview. And I think about clipping that the whole bit so you can go and watch it back. But if you go to, obviously, our best clips in it, if you go to our fundraising stream, that 8-hour fundraiser stream we did, we had David Croft on. And David Croft said that the FIA had found something illegal with their car. It was clear to see their engine, in terms of fuel flow, was doing something illegal. I think that was there from 2018 onwards. And since then, they've just been on this downward trajectory. Like with Vettel went down that downward trajectory in 2018. Same with Ferrari, right? The management was wrong. The drivers were not playing well, competing well. So, yeah. So, Tim Golden, hey, I got my match reaction at 7:30. We're not doing that now, man. We're not doing that now. But look, it's like I said with the F1. Look, Ferrari, to be 2019, you could see they were faster on the straight, miles faster. So they won at Monza and that. Then this whole thing about fuel flow got clarification by the FIA. Got clarification because Mercedes and Red Bull went to protest and say, didn't really protest, but said, can we clear something up in the rules about this? And then all of a sudden, the pace went. Where's the pace? The pace had gone. They had done something illegal. And the FIA said, we won't publish it, but you fix your ways. And you fix it now. And since then, they have been on a downward trajectory. And it's not just the engine. The engine was only part of the problem last season. Last season, they just had a car that was too draggy, right? It was just so slow. If you watch the Belgian Grand Prix back again, they had so little rear wing. You could tell by how thin the rear wing at the top of the the rear wing box, how thin it is, how much wing they're putting on. They put very little on. So they only just suffered in the corners with rear downforce because they hadn't had Arnie in the car to try and get it to go fast in a straight line. But it still didn't go fast in a straight line. So they were just getting mugged off on the straights all the time. They were getting mugged off and mugged off and mugged off. It's absolutely mad. It was mad. And yeah, and no matter what they were doing, no matter what updates were coming up with, it just didn't seem to find a solution. Then we had, obviously, before even the season started, we had Vettel coming out and saying, or they're saying they're dropping Vettel, and Vettel's got no seat. And then we had that whole crisis of Vettel trying to find a seat whilst trying to complete a team that's just dumped him. It's something that Ferrari, management-wise, does not work. Right? This has now been 14 years since they've won the driver's title. 13 years since they've won the constructor's title. right? Back in 2008. They've never quite been able to do it under Fernando Alonso in 2010 or 2012. The 2012 car had no right to be in that fight, but Fernando Alonso got it there. But 2017 and 2018, 2017, I've always looked at, they tried to compete with Mercedes, but towards the end of the season, you saw how fast and how much they were pushing because the power units they had left were failing on them. So they pushed it to its limit because you only have a limited number of power units. You only have about 4 every season. Now, 2018 came along. It was much more reliable, much faster, right? Better in the corners, right? For half of that season, from about the British Grand Prix to about the Russian Grand Prix, that's about 7 races. They won 2 out of those races. Hamilton won 5 out of those races, right? There were races that Hamilton had no right to win because the Ferrari was stronger by 3/4 tenths. But they never took advantage of it. The management never took advantage of it. Then we saw last season, in 2019, the chopping and changing whilst Mercedes were pulling away in China. They were chopping and changing their drivers, right? Who's faster than who? Who's gonna go on and try and challenge? The management just didn't work, right? It didn't work in any sort of way whatsoever. And if you've got a management that doesn't work, how are you expected to compete with someone like Mercedes that has dominated the sport since 2014 and has got a management system that is just so well connected? And they've got a team that not only like looks at itself when it makes mistakes. When it makes mistakes, it fixes them. I'm just going to go into some of the comments. Keep grinding, mate. You're such a star, and your work has paid it off. Paying respect to you, Mr. Featley. Tim Golden, in. We'll talk about that on the match reaction. Marcus, is that the Marcus from way back? Right? If so, mate, right? There's the link. You can join. I'll put the link in again. And feel free to join. It's been ages, mate. But Alonso was better than Vettel for me. Yeah, I'll go with that. He always outperformed his car. I mean, you look at Vettel at the minute, 17th in one of those practice sessions. Big up, mate. Big up, mate. You supported me from way back. Big up to yourself, mate. And the link's in the chat. If you want to come on, link's in the chat. You can come on. But yeah, it's for Ferrari for me. They've got a serious management issue. They really have. I know Binotto, they're now sticking behind Binotto because they've got rid of Aviva Bene, Stefan Domenicali. They've got rid of so many team principals now. But they need to stop doing that. They need to now get a team where they've got a team principal they can build around, right? Because if they're doing what they were doing back in '96, Schumacher never won those titles because they were chopping and changing their team principals left, right, and center. You can't do that. It just doesn't work. It's like chopping and changing your manager in football when he was only about 6 months. It's not going to work, right? So it's a shame because they've got such a proud history, and you can see it when they've gone to last season. If you saw their last season back in Mugello, we had that 1000th Grand Prix. They had their special darker red livery, right, for the 1000th Grand Prix they held that they were racing at. Right, big thing for them. And they were just so poor in that race. And it was just in Monza as well. Monza was an embarrassment. Can you imagine the fans If fans were in that circuit, would you imagine what would have happened if they finished out, one of them out of Q1, right? The other out of Q2, and both ended up retiring. One with brake failure, and one with just could pushing the car so much to keep up with everyone. He's put it in the wall, right? I'm not doubting Leclerc. Leclerc is amazing talent, right? Leclerc is single-handedly carrying that team, right? Sainz is not doing an okay job the last few races he's been there, but the main leader is Leclerc. At such a young age, he is being asked to drag that team back out of the mud because they are in the mud at the minute. And that is an incredible and difficult thing to ask for someone of that age who's technically, look, it's still his second season. No, this is his fourth season now. He's still learning his trade. So to be asked to be doing that for a team that's faltering in many areas, it's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. And sometimes that is very unfair. Very, very unfair. I mean, you've got Callum Ilott there as well, who's joined as a reserve driver, like I said, for it is there, mate. Let me have a look. Oh, I got you on Insta or something. I think I got you on Insta. I swear it's on Insta. Insta. Oh, yeah, there it is. There you go. I just sent it to you on Insta as well, so try it that way as well. Oh, your internet. If you can, you can. No worry if you can't. Just leave it in the comments. But like I said, you got and Carlos Sainz. It's nice to have him in the team, but how long is that gonna last? Because let's be honest, we've got Mick Schumacher in that Haas right now, and we know Haas are appalling. Haas are probably gonna be finishing last. That's how bad they are. They've already come out and said this car is not great, and they've already come out and said they're not investing because they're investing everything on putting all their eggs in one basket and put it in 2022, which is fair play because you're not going to be challenging for anything. But surely you'd want the money to be able to develop the car further. But then also by the same token, you also get more development time if you finish last. So it was a way of trying, and they've done that as a way of trying bringing everyone together. But for Ferrari, you've got Mick Schumacher there. We all know Mick Schumacher is going to be in a Ferrari. We know it, right? We just know by the name. They are held for the PR that will come out of it. They are going to put Mick Schumacher in that Ferrari at some point, right? It will be the PR of the century. So yeah, of course you want that. Of course you want that. But we'll have to wait and see. It may be that Schumacher isn't good enough. Ralph wasn't good enough. My mic. Yeah, just have it with the. You don't have to put the camera on, mate. But my mic can't work. Okay. Okay. Try again if you haven't got. If you've got these, try again with these with the headphones. If not, then not worry about it. We'll do it another time, or we can sort it out for another time. Don't worry. I mean, we've got the watch-alongs and that. So, but I think Arriva Bene is a good choice for Ferrari. He knows the team inside out. He knows what expects from the team. He knows the expectations from the fans. Because you're not just support. The thing is with Ferrari, the great thing with Ferrari is there's a difference between a Ferrari world champion and a world champion. Because a Ferrari world champion, you're not just celebrated by whoever supports Mercedes, right? You're supported by the fucking country, Italy. You are supported by Italy. Simple as that. Right? If you race for that team, you are representing Italy. Every fan that hated you for being in any other team would love you in seconds, especially if you win the Grand Prix at Monza. Or just win a Grand Prix that Ferrari only expected to win, but even bigger in Monza. That's why when Fernando Alonso won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, which I think, if I'm not correctly mistaken, that is the last time Ferrari. Oh no, apart from 2019, that's the last time. Apart from 2019, that was the only previous time. We got Marcus back on the channel. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
I'm good, actually.
Good. What do you want to say on the Ferrari debate?
Well, I just put a comment. You shared it for a second. They're either good or bad. That I think that is true. They're either right at the top or they're not. They might not be going for championships. They're not necessarily bad, but they're either really fighting for the championship or nowhere near it. Like 2019, they were nowhere near it. 2018, they were already up there.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of management issues in 2019, for example. You look back at China, where they were just swapping places between each other whilst the Mercedes were pulling away. 2020, you saw that the FIA had cracked down on them, and I don't know why they didn't publish it, but we know they were breaking the rules somehow. Because you don't just lose pace like that. You don't lose pace in a straight line like that. So we know that Ferrari were up to something, and they've been sort of found out. And then 2020, but I don't think it was just the car, the engine. It was more the car was draggy. The chassis was not right. It was just not. It was a very poorly built car with a very well managed team. It had no sort of philosophy. With every sort of car design, you got a sort of philosophy that goes with it. Mercedes always been long base. Red Bull was a short base that's got a high rake, which is benefiting them this season because of the lack of rear downforce, which means to get more downforce, you have to raise the rake. But the problem with Ferrari was you don't know what the philosophy is. Is it going to be trying to be faster down straight? Is it going to be going faster in the corners? You just had no sort of direction in the car. So if you got no direction in sort of where you're going in development, it just leaves you exposed in other areas. So that's why I just say the management let them down again, big time.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I don't think they'll get back at the top in like next year's, regulation changes. But they could get like a win maybe or a podium or something. Because they've already made strides from last year.
There's a lot of changes, and it's more about ground effect next year. So it is a real shake up since about 2009. So it could do.
Yeah, but it's not going to be like it's not going to be like I think that they need to like be stable rather than go for like this massive boost up into performance because the year after they could be really bad again. Like it just needs to be like a stable increase instead of trying to win the championship next year. Like I don't think Minotto wants or will think that's going to happen either.
Yeah, I don't think so. But then I don't think a lot of teams I think a lot of teams. I mean, that's probably why James Anderson has stepped back, so they can look at 2022 and see what Mercedes could do with that. Obviously, the thing I think they might have advantage as is if they've got nothing to fight for in the championship towards the end of this season, they can start that development early compared to Mercedes and Red Bull, who will be fighting for the championship. And we saw that in 2013 is that Mercedes put a car out there, but it wasn't really going to excite the world and win races or challenge it. But they knew that 2014 was where they were going to make the difference. And you've seen ever since. They've been dominating ever since. And I mean, we see Red Bull in a minute. And yes, Verstappen got that win, but it was under serious pressure from Mercedes again. And how do you see this playing out between Red Bull and Mercedes?
Well, I don't know if you remember, but I'm a Red Bull and AlphaTauri fan, but
Yeah,
I don't like Verstappen anymore. Now he's good, so I actually wouldn't mind Mercedes winning because I always supported Red Bull because they were like kind of underdoggy. But now they've got the better car. I'd rather Hamilton win because he would be the better driver if he won. Because Red Bull have got a lot better car. You can see that. So
well, I would say that, but then you saw that in the first race. I'll give you that one. The second and third race, again, Portimao again, Bottas edging them, and second session the Mercedes were edging them. So it says to me, and I mentioned this in the DNF1 podcast, which you, if you're on anyone's on YouTube, go check them out. They are, yeah, their links in this description below, I believe. Yes, they are. Go check them out. But I said it on there, and I said, look, if Hamilton had that damage in the front wing end plate at the start of the race, if he had that damage there and still managed to keep up and was actually hunting down Verstappen just before he pitted, what does that tell me? That tells me that they've done they've already developed that car to be able to compete with with Red Bull. And if that's the case, then it's literally neck and neck between the two of them. So it could go. So it could be equal either way.
well, I think Red Bull will not win the constructors because Perez is just a little bit too far behind. I know Bottas hasn't had a great start to the season, but
You say that, but he's got second. He managed to get second position in qualifying, so he's got the pace.
yeah, but well, Verstappen I think made a mistake. He would have got pole. I think he made a slight mistake.
Lando
And
Norris could have got it
Bottas
as
wasn't
well.
really in it, but I also think that race pace was shocking. How many times did he spin? Like,
Yeah, that was a poor performance on his hand. I think a lot of people were expecting because I said at the start of the race, and we're all thinking about it as a dry race. I didn't actually expect it to be rain showers or rain as heavily as it did. But again, you got to adjust to what you've got, and he didn't do that. But does that make me think that Perez is going to be just as bad as the other two? No, we do know that Red Bull's built for Verstappen. We know, I definitely know that, but I definitely do think Perez he'll get his moment. He will get his moment, and he will help the team out because I think he knows that Verstappen is being tipped to be the one to challenge Hamilton. Same as I think Bottas. You saw Bottas in that race in Bahrain, and this is why I said because people had probably a lot of criticism for watching that Drive to Survive series, and the only thing I didn't like about it is they didn't explain why Bottas gets like that because But at a third or fourth race, Hamilton's 50 odd points in front of him because Hamilton just edges him in qualifying and edges him in a race because he can extract more out of the car.
Bottas's quali pace is a lot better than his race pace. Like, he's good over one lap. He just can't overtake. He can't overtake. You saw him in traffic at Imola. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I make you right there, but it's just it's like I said with is just general being able. It's one of those you work with what you've got, and sometimes that's all you can do. And what you see with Hamilton is that he just gets that little bit extra. He manages to get that little bit over the edge, but be good enough to get that extra and keep it. So that's why when it comes to a season, everyone doesn't look at Bottas as being a challenger, and he's tried to be, but Hamilton just gets on that every time, gets on that run, and once he gets on that run, he can't be stopped, and that's the problem. The thing is with Verstappen is that yes, he's got the car now, he's got a car that's going to be good enough to compete with him. But now he needs to be like Hamilton, Hamilton was like last season, getting a consistent run, not like having one good race and then Hamilton win the next race and him being poor. It's just you got to then put consistency to that and being able to have the stamina to last the season because we've got 23 races here, and one thing no one's been able to keep up with is Hamilton's ability and stamina to keep up with his performances during the season.
Yeah, I think that Bottas won't get the title this year. He's no chance now.
Yeah, what do you see with Hamilton's contracts? Obviously, Hamilton's got this year's contract only, and some people are saying he's going to retire. Some people say if he wins his 8th title, some people say he'll retire even if he doesn't get the title. But what do you see? I mean, obviously, we saw Russell and Sakia, and it was unlucky by him. He didn't get the win. I mean, he should have done. But
Definitely.
yeah, I think the only shining light out of that is that it did save Perez a seat for Red Bull. But do you see Russell ended up replacing Hamilton in 2022? Because Hamilton's already stated he wants to be in the mix for 2022. He's looked at the car and looked at all the data that they're producing, and he's liking the new rules, and so he wants to stay. Do you feel he's gonna stay at Mercedes, or do you feel that they'll end up replacing him with Russell after this year?
Russell will either replace Bottas or Hamilton.
Do you think it'll be Hamilton because he retires?
If Hamilton retires, he'll get the pace, but if Hamilton doesn't, I think Bottas is still going to go and Russell will come in because whoever leaves at the end of the season is getting replaced by Russell. Or if that maybe that they both go, then maybe some people have said like Verstappen and Russell together in a team or something.
I think that was Zach Brown that said that, but I severely doubt that, to be honest.
I mean, it'd be great to see.
It would be great to see, but I doubt it, to be honest. But obviously, we've had debates afterwards after the end of the season about Schumacher and Hamilton. The obviously the two greatest. And what's your opinion on this debate? So we've had David Croft on the channel about this debate, and he says he goes by stats. He says it's Hamilton just edges it. So, but what do you say?
I think Hamilton, but I've actually got to go and eat my dinner, so maybe I'll come on for the Grand Prix on Sunday, and I'll speak to you then.
Yeah, no worries. You'll feel free to come on whenever you can. Right.
Congratulations on 1,000 subscribers too.
No, thank you, and thank you for supporting us from such an early part. So everyone's played a part in it. So thank you.
Okay, see you soon. Bye.
See ya. Bye bye. But yeah, obviously, I'd love to know your thoughts. Who do you think's better, Hamilton, Schumacher? It's going to be a constant debate, and if Hamilton wins it, right, this year, I'm sorry, then he's better. I don't care what anyone says. He is better. Simple facts. So, but yeah, I mean, and as with Ferrari, if they can get the right management structure in, find a direction they want to go in, and a philosophy they want to put the car in, then they should be able to compete at the highest level and get back to the former glory days of your Ross Spawns, your John Todds, because they haven't been the same since. So we'll have to wait and see. But will it come with the new rule changes? Who knows? But I'll tell you one thing: it's definitely it's bubbling. It's bubbling. Let's just say the paddock is always bubbling, and sometimes it will start to boil over, and stories will start to come out, and the media storms will come about. Don't worry, there will be. It's very quiet at the start. It's a bit quiet at the start, which is unusual for Formula One. But don't worry, there'll be stories coming out. There'll be races. There'll be incidents. I'd like to see what the fallout from the Stroll Verstappen incident is. I know there's the chance to see it, but I'll have a look and see what I'll make a judgment of it, and I'll bring that what I think of it for the watch along on Saturday, which we've got at 2:45 p.m., 15 minutes before qualifying. So make sure you tune into that, guys. But yeah, please do smash the like button, hit that subscribe button, please. Right, and share it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Don't forget they're doing their social media blackout for stopping online abuse, stopping racism, sexism, right? Discrimination on any level, right? Online abuse, whether it's bullying or anything like that, just stop, right? And you got to take part. We got to join together and do that. So I'll be doing that. I will not be tweeting anything, right? I will not be not tweeting anything. So yeah. But anyway, thanks for everyone that's watched as usual. We'll be back next week. Hopefully DNF1 will be back with me next week. He does say he's very busy next week, but hopefully maybe go get him on. Oh no, we got Billy in the building. How are you?
Good, thanks, Stephen. What about you, mate?
Yeah, man, I'm not doing too bad. We're getting things are yeah, feeling better now. We'll talk about F1.
Yeah, get away from what was that last night.
Well, yeah, I'll send you the link. I'll send you a link for the match reaction straight after this, and then we can have that discussion then. But yeah, what do you think about like some of the topics about the sprint qualifying? Good idea?
Uh, you
Bad
know,
idea?
Stephen. I didn't watch much F1, but I actually watched my first Grand Prix, and it was the Bahrain Grand Prix. Do you remember the first one of the season? And I didn't know how long they were. I didn't realize they were like 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's a 2 hour. It's about 2 hour race in a 4 hour period, but
Yeah,
usually it lasts up to about an hour 40 minutes. But it depends what incidents there are.
because apparently they've got to like travel like is it like 385 kilometers?
Yes, except
Yeah.
Monaco, because
Mm.
it's so short.
And it was quite exciting. I thought Hamilton was going to lose because he had like older tires on than Verstappen.
Mm.
But then Verstappen did like this illegal overtake thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was
because
quite
basically,
exciting.
because basically, the white line is the edge of the circuit, and
Yeah,
if you go all fours over trying to overtake someone, that's basically exceed. That's by being off in an offside position, so you can't do that. So that's why it's disallowed. But what it showed is experience over youth,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it makes it an important season because Mercedes were struggling to catch up when they won that Grand Prix. Now it looks like
yeah,
they've caught up already. So
yeah. Do you think he'll win it again this year? Hamilton.
I'm a firm believer he will. I'm a massive Hamilton fan. Right, I've watched him since his first ever race, and what I notice about him, especially the last few years, is stamina. Stamina in a season. He's been able to constantly put performances throughout the season, rather than just have that short spell and then it all falls apart towards the end. He's managed to keep it going, especially the second half of the season.
Do you think he'll retire? Because I remember Nico Rosberg a few years back. He won it, and then he retired after.
Yeah, there's all talk about him. He's a total idiot.
He was good. He was a good driver though.
Yeah, it was good, but unfortunately, when you run into Hamilton straight on purpose in Austria, and then Hamilton won more races. The only reason he didn't win that championship is because the reliability of his car was crap. Malaysia, he had was the only driver in a Mercedes power car that had a brand new engine, and it was the only one that exploded.
Yeah,
says it all. But yeah, so look, if he retires, doesn't matter to me. For me, he's the best driver ever.
Better than what's his name?
Schumacher.
Yeah, Michael Schumacher.
Well, statistically, it is. He's won 96 Grand Prix, 99 pole positions.
Yeah,
in Formula One, and yeah, I think as much as like people go on about Schumacher, and trust me, I was a Schumacher fan growing up. Yeah, for me, Hamilton is better for me.
Have you met Hamilton?
In any way. Yeah,
because I saw on your Twitter, your profile banner, it's you and Hamilton.
I've met him in 2012 Grand Prix.
Wow, that's amazing. Was he a nice guy? He looks like a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. That he's always stopped. Well, there's some drivers I know that have just kept on walking, right? And it's literally taken me sometimes to say, "Please, can you sign this?" That they've stopped and turned around and signed it, which is when I was Schumacher once. Literally, I shouted, "Please!" I was the only one that did that, so he stopped, turned around, signed mine, didn't sign anyone else's, and buggered off because I was the one that said, "Please."
Yeah, that's nice. I'll tell you one driver that I don't like though is Mazepin. Yeah,
well, you get all this weird races one diversity, right? Fighting racism, sexism, all this, and being diverse and being equality, and then you go and do that.
Yeah.
What he did that nearly got him banned. He should have been banned after that anyway. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, and we'll have to see how we just call him Mazepin in a minute because every time he's on the try, he's spinning it.
So, yeah, literally the first lap he spun, didn't he, in Bahrain? Literally went out straight away.
Well, that car is probably going to end up dead last anyway. So they're not going to develop it because they've got 2022 coming up, and they're putting all it, and because of the budget caps, they're putting all their money into it. So we'll have to wait and see what comes about that. But yeah, Gorman, give me a quick prediction for the qualifying and then the race. Top three.
I don't know. How's Lando Norris looking?
He was ninth in practice, so a bit off the pace. And then I like that in Imola.
So qualifying or the actual Grand Prix?
Qualifying in the Grand Prix.
I think Hamilton will start in pole position.
Okay.
And then the actual Grand Prix, I think Hamilton, Verstappen, and Bottas in third.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to back my man. I might have said it different in a preview, but I got to back. Yeah, I got to back Hamilton this time. I can't do it.
Are you nervous?
I got to back him. I'm always. Do you know what? It's good because it means that there's a championship fight on. and it's competitive.
Yeah.
You know, it's rather than it's like, as much as I love to see just Hamilton just win every race, so that way I can watch him win titles. Is that it's like him? He's wanting to want that battle. So
Yeah.
So that's why I like the nerves before a Grand Prix weekend. But
Why
what I know is, unlike Arsenal, for example, they'll put 110% in to try and win that Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So,
Why has Vettel? Why? Because obviously I'm not like a mad F1 fan. I follow it sometimes, yeah. But why is he like so far down now? Because I swear it was him and Hamilton that was like going up.
Yeah, I just feel that I don't know, just like there's been I think there's a real confidence issue there. He was even known in 2010 as making silly mistakes, though he won the championship. So yeah, I just feel that mentally he's just not as strong as probably Hamilton. And obviously he's tried to go somewhere new. I don't think the Aston Martin car is very good compared to the Racing Point last year, but again, it shouldn't be where it is. But I don't know. I think Bobby also might be coming to the fact that he's just not got it anymore. But I don't know. But that is a conundrum in itself. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens, because anything can happen. Because one time, because I mean, the Turkish Grand Prix, for example, where Hamilton did win a championship, Vettel did finish third. So
listen, Steve, I've got to go, but cheers for having me on. I'll try and come on the match reaction as well.
Yeah, well, it's all right, because I'm going to wrap this up anyway. So thanks everyone that's tuned in as usual. Do hit the like button, do hit the subscribe button, right? And make sure you tune in to the match reaction, which will start in literally about 10 minutes. So make sure you tune into that. Until then, take care, stay safe.